The first thing you notice on a visit to the San Miguel School is the handshake. The firm look you in the eye, welcome to our house handshake. Everybody gets in on the action. The kids, the teachers, and the administrators.
Good morning, San Miguel.
Good morning, Brother Lawrence.
Not only welcome to
Next up, the morning meeting, where every day 64 middle schoolers get together first thing in the cafeteria for an all-school gathering. They talk about the word of the week and share announcements. In the middle of it all, the school's executive director, Brother Lawrence Goyette, a Lasallian Christian brother who founded San Miguel 20 years ago with a vision, little money, and a lot of prayer.
The first year our budget was $50,000, and it was a struggle raising that $50,000. It wasn't easy.
The school is named for a Christian brother and saint in Ecuador. Opening in 1993 and donated space at St. Paul's Lutheran Church in South Providence, with 2 volunteer teachers and 15 boys. Brother Lawrence, a career educator in Providence and New York, originally planned for the school to be co-ed.
As I met with educators and church people and community leaders and politicians, I kept the common denominator was that so many people said, you know, you really might want to consider starting the school and just working with boys, because there are some really serious issues in Providence right now with gangs, and a lot of them are boys that are joining gangs, and we're losing a lot of kids.
So began San Miguel, a private, independent, faith-based but non-sectarian school for 6 boys from low-income families. It has grown to an annual budget now of $1.2 million. And 3 years ago moved to the former St. Anne's School on Branch Avenue. The boys, 16 in each class, grades 5 through 8, pay tuition on a sliding scale. But tuition only accounts for about 5% of the budget. The rest comes from donations and grants.
How would you describe your prototypical Miguel man?
We're looking for kids who don't like school. We're looking for kids who have done well in school. We're looking for kids who have had a lot of challenges in behavior. You know, I mean, in any given year, we've got a couple of kids in our school who were bullied when they were in their previous school. But on the other hand, we've got, you know, maybe 1 or 2 kids who were the bullies.
Here's what I want you to do.
Karen Clements became a teacher here 6 years ago. A graduate of LaSalle Academy, she had planned to stay in Philadelphia after graduating from Temple University. But that all changed when a spot opened up for a 5th grade teacher, and she came for a visit.
What was it about San Miguel?
It was the fact that when you walk in the door, every single student comes up and looks you in the eye and shakes your hand. And the fact that when you join together as a whole school every morning of every day, and just the community feeling of it, the fact that we're like a family here.
There is a hierarchy here. The 8th graders get the privilege of hanging out together in front of the school before the opening bell rings. 2 years ago, a group of students approached Brother Lawrence, asking if they could wear dress shirt and tie as 8th graders, which is now the tradition. And 13 years ago, the school instituted a mentoring program. Every Friday, the 5th graders meet during the last period with their 8th grade mentors to talk about anything and everything. Some academic, some fun, and a lot of bonding.
When the 5th graders are starting off, they're not really sure what to do, what to think of it all.
What's this all about?
Yeah, but as they approach the end of the 5th grade year, they're already talking about when they become 8th graders, what they want to do with their 5th grade mentee. So it's that cycle that gets passed down, which is really exciting. And the 7th graders right now are saying, I want this one to be my mentee.
Earlier this month, the 5th graders surprised their older counterparts with an end-of-year party. Each had framed a picture of his partner as a parting gift. Many stood to talk about what their partner had meant to them.
Pledge allegiance to the flag.
The morning meeting is an integral part of the school day, and because of the school's size, it is an intimate gathering.
And you'll end up sometimes with a 12-year-old who gets up and he bears his soul. He talks about his experience at San Miguel right at that moment, warts and all. And all the kids sit there and they listen, and then some of them will even have words of advice at the end. What 12-year-old kids will do that? Most kids are afraid to share their their feelings with their peers.
Brother Lawrence can look back and laugh now that it wasn't always so smooth.
And I remember the first word of the week in the school's history was optimistic. I was trying to start with a very positive word, and I remember the first sentence that a boy shared was, he just kind of looked around and he said, "I'm not very optimistic when I look around and see there are no girls."
And what about that handshake? It has in many ways become San Miguel's signature.
One of the things that I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 years is that when kids come in the morning, this happens now on a regular basis. I'll shake each kid's hand. Every teacher that's in the lobby will extend a hand, and shake the kids' hands. And you'll say something that's simple like, how are you today? And the boys now will shake a hand, look you in the eye and say, I'm doing well, how are you? That's a huge thing with a 12-year-old boy.
And can I tell you, I'm impressed it's not the wet noodle handshake.
Yeah, well, that's important too.
You've got to have a nice firm one and look right in the eye.
And the eye contact is important.
Make no mistake, San Miguel is a place where faith plays a crucial role, but not in the way you might think of a traditional parochial school.
When we opened our doors 20 years ago, I was very conscious of the fact that there were a lot of religious-sponsored schools in the state that were closing. And I wanted San Miguel School to be a little bit different than all the others, but I also feel like the spiritual dimension is important. So I didn't know exactly where it was going to go in the early years.
The school was located in a Lutheran church. The first article about it was in an Episcopal newspaper, and a past board chair was Jewish.
We're not in an official Catholic school, Catholic with a capital C, but I am working in the most spiritual place I've ever worked. And I like the fact that there's a spiritual dimension, and I think our families like it, our kids like it, our staff likes it. And we've been sort of forced to kind of create something that's a little bit different than anything else.
For the first time, the 8th grade graduation was held in the school's gymnasium. It is the last class to have gone to the old school in South Providence as 5th graders, ending one chapter of the school's 2-decade history. Most will be going to private high schools like LaSalle and St. Ray's next year. Sad to be leaving the nurturing environment they've enjoyed, but excited about new opportunities. During the ceremony, Brother Lawrence spoke personally and at length about each of the 16 new graduates.
What was the biggest change for you coming to a school this size from where you were before?
The love. I wasn't used to people caring about me, like doing my schoolwork. They were on top of me all the time and really wanting me to succeed and do well.
What do you think the biggest change in you is from 5th grade to 8th grade?
Being a lot more respectful, being a lot more helpful, being a well-rounded person. That's mostly what they teach us here. They like to be respectful, to be responsible, to do the right thing when adults aren't looking and when they are.
What do you see in that transformation over those 4 years?
I see them come in as sort of uncertain little boys. I'm not really sure what they're getting themselves into. First of all, it's all boys, and when they hit the all boys thing, they're like, oh my gosh. And I see them coming in and not really knowing how to take San Miguel, because it's a culture shock to walk into this building. They're not used to this type of an environment in a school. And then they develop into these mature young men, and it blows me away with how well-spoken they become throughout the 4 years and how excited they are to come to school every day. I see them now and it brings tears to my eyes because they're young men. They're ready to go on to high school.
In Providence, Jim Hummel for the Hummel Spotlight.